Good morning. Well, I'm back on the boat to try and sort out this engine problem. It was 2 weeks ago that I had the problem, and I just haven't had time in the meantime when it's been dry to come and have a look. The likelihood is that I'm going to have to either take it home or take it to the boatyard. But I want to do a little bit of diagnosis on the water first, so I know what I'm dealing with, hopefully. So the problem I had was going along at about 16-18 knots. All of a sudden it cut down to 7 knots. Engine was shaking a little bit, obviously rough running. I managed to limp it back home with at 7 knots, but I didn't want to do any diagnosis out to sea or anything like that. It got me home back in shelter and safety, and now we're going to have a look at it. So rough running and cut down on power would tend to suggest that not all of the cylinders are performing properly. So I'm not going to be able to film it while I'm doing it, holding the camera, but I'll do it bit by bit and take you through my thought process and see if we can get to the bottom of the problem. So if it's not working properly, we've either got an electrical issue, so it's not sparking, we've got a fuel issue, obviously not getting fuel into the cylinders, or we've got a compression issue. So it could be something as cheap and simple as a spark plug, or it could be a compression issue, meaning that when the gas fires, it's not all pushing the cylinder down, it's escaping because the power head's cracked. So it could be a couple of quid with a spark plug, or the engine could be scrap value if it's got a cracked power head. It's about plan for the worst. Right, I'll start taking a look and I'll bring you back bit by bit, and we'll see what we end up with. So first bit, the sun's probably in the wrong direction, and hope you can hear me over the engine. It starts okay, but it sounds like a bag of nails. I've just done it in turn. It's 4 cylinders, so spark plug, let's switch that off actually. So I took the spark plugs out in turn, and it's running exactly the same as that. Now that was with spark plugs 2 and 4 out, or the spark plug caps off rather. So it's only running on 1 and 3. So 1 and 3 is unusual because it's twin coil. The coils are in here, but the coils feed 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. So it's not an electrical feed problem, because we've got cylinders 1 off each coil not working. So the next thing is to take the plugs out and see if fuel has been getting to cylinders 2 and 4. I'll do that and let you know. Right, so I've got potentially dodgy cylinders 2 and 4, so I've swapped the plugs from 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. So we'll give it a go and see what happens. Sounds pretty similar to me actually, so let's pop the cylinder cap off, the plug cap off number 2 and number 4. Yeah, no different. So it's a funny old thing. The cheap option of just replacing 4 plugs is not the cause of the problem. Swap the plugs around with 2 and 4 off. Yeah, exactly the same running, exactly the same symptoms. The plugs were a little dry. It's a little bit difficult to tell, but if they were not firing, I would expect them to be wet, or wetter than they were. So it's either not getting fuel delivered, which is a carburetor problem, or it's getting fuel delivered and we've got a compression problem, which is a major issue. It's got 4 carburetors on here. Now The only thing I've done differently this season is put a fuel stabiliser in with a petrol. So potentially there's been some E10 grime after the filter, which the fuel cleaner has dislodged on the first 2 trips of the year and pushed into the jets. These engines are real pigs to clean the jets, but that's the next thing. I'll have a look and see if I can get the manifold off here and take it back to my garage. If not, it's going to have to be, if there's too big a risk of dropping parts over the side, then it's going to have to be on the trailer and back home or to the workshop. Let's have a look. So here are the carburetors, 1, 2, 3 and 4. The 2 separate fuel pumps, but they do carbs 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4. So it's not a fuel pump issue because it's 2 and 4 that we've got the problem on. So first job, which I've already done, is to get rid of these throttle linkages. This manifold, fuel manifold, and the air breather assembly all needs to come off together. So the throttle linkages have gone. I need to disconnect the fuel output lines from the fuel pumps, get rid of these nuts and the bolts, and then the whole lot needs to come off. So that is the output fuel hoses disconnected from the fuel pumps. The nuts and bolts are out. The tricky job down here is this carrier that holds the throttle linkages. You need a small ratchet set just to get in there. You don't need to take it off because they're going to be awkward to get the bolts back in, but just loosen it off a little bit so that this whole assembly can now lift off, and taking off the manifold, the carburetors in the air breather. So that's the assembly off and on the pontoon, and that's a job for the garage. So we'll take that off and have a look at the inside of the carbs. So got it back home. I brought it outside just for a bit better light. So we've got air filter box, the carburetors and the manifold. That's all got to come apart so I can look at each carburetor in turn. It's 2 and 4 that were giving me the issue, but as I've gone to the faff of taking it off, we'll have a look at the jets on all of them. So first job, airbox to come off. So that's the airbox off. There was actually a bolt missing from that, so I'll get another bolt and replace that. Next thing is to take off this section with the bolts that run through the carbs. Some on that side and some on that side. So they'll all come off next. So that is the carburetor bolts out. Next, to separate the carbs individually, I've got these linkages which join them all together. So this one, I've taken most of them off. That one just pulls off. So that's that one. We'll work our way along the bench and then hopefully work our way back along the bench without running out of space. This one's a little bit more awkward, so I'll put the camera down for this one, but that one sort of pinches out as well. So I've just turned it all over, and the last thing holding them all together are these lines here, which just need to pull off. And then we've got each carb in turn. So there's number 1, and we'll have a look at taking that apart. Right, it was 2 and 4 that were giving me the problem, so I'm going to go work from the bottom up. Excuse me, I'm going to work from the bottom up. This is number 4, and hopefully we'll find a problem. So first of all, we've got the fuel bowl, the float bowl, to come off. You can see why you don't want to do this at sea. You can imagine losing one of these bits over the side. Right. That's actually nice and clean, which is not what I was hoping for, unless it's getting no fuel at all, of course. So there's the float. That looks okay under there. This is pressed in. It's mechanically forced in, so I'm going to leave the float in place. And then we've got the various jets on the top there. So this is just a cover. And then be gentle with these. Come in. There we are. So this is the slow speed side of things, and I don't know how well you can pick these up, or even if I'm holding them in the right place, but all those little holes down here, sorry, the camera switched off there. Yeah, all the little holes there, I can actually see through them, so that is not what I was hoping for. There's another bit in here. The slow speed jet, again, those holes look all nice and clear. And again, that one is all nice and clear, so I'm not actually convinced that we have got a carburetor problem here now, but I'll give everything a clean, put it back together, work through the other 3 carbs, and we'll put it back on and see if it's made a difference. Right, that's all back together. There's nothing on the bench left apart from tools. I didn't find any dirt particularly, or clogged jets, so I'm not very confident that that was the issue, but it was worth a try. So I'll get this back on the boat, and if there's still some tide left, we'll give it a try and see. Well, I wasn't very confident, but I've put it all back together, primed it up, and it seems to be all right. It wasn't the neutral revs wasn't it wasn't picking up at all, and now that seems to be okay. So I've got a little bit of the tide left, not very much, but I'm just going to take it down the river and see what it goes like, but we might be all right. Happy with that. Hopefully I'll see you very soon, and the next one will be fishing.